And welcome back to another episode of Doing Life Radio. I'm Sam.
And I'm Joyce. We're a married couple living in South Jersey, talking about all things life with a special focus on food, fitness, and faith.
And this week's episode, we're talking about the lack of food.
Yeah, we really are. We're talking about intermittent fasting.
The new hot trend.
Yeah. So we've been trying some intermittent fasting, and we're going to tell you kind of what we think about it and some tips and tricks if you want to get started.
Yeah, if you've been following us on social media, you know that I am in the middle of my 4-month commitment to intermittent fasting. So
Wait a minute. It's a 1 month commitment, right?
It's a 1 month commitment, but
you said a 4-month commitment.
Oh, it's just one. It's just one.
2 weeks into a 1 month commitment of intermittent fasting. I translate for him. This is what we do.
This is why we work.
Yeah.
All right, so join us with the episode and learn a little bit more about intermittent fasting. And we're starting another episode of Doing Life Radio.
Yeah, so today's a really exciting episode because we're talking about intermittent fasting.
Okay, which is like the new trendy dieting.
It's not. It's been around for a very long time.
Well, the concept has been around for a long time. I mean, isn't that where we get the name breakfast from?
Yes, you break your fast. That's true. But it has been along for a long time, but it is a hot, trendy diet fad, I guess, now. It's something I've been doing for a little bit of time, not any sort of extended fast, and we'll talk about how to get started and what kind of fasting windows we're looking at. But it's something you just started in the past week.
If anyone's been following us on social media, I'm actually 2 weeks into it at the time of this recording. And when we release this, I'll be officially 2 weeks into intermittent fasting, which for me means that I'm shutting it down about 7:30 in the evening and trying to go as long as I can the next morning before the coffee calls my name. And typically I'm running about 13 to 14 hours of the occasional 16-hour intermittent fasting thrown in there. So it's the first few days were really hard. It's actually gotten pretty easy. And
he's just getting rid of that nighttime snack. That
was hard to do.
His nighttime snack, but once you get past that, it's not too bad.
I'll tell you what else it's done is I've drunk a lot more water, because I feel the hunger craving starting to come on. So I'm like, all right, let me fill my water bottle. Let me start drinking the water. And before I know it, bam, another 40 ounces is gone.
Yeah.
And I have to go through that whole process again. So that has helped me out a ton on that end, I'm sure.
Yeah. So there's a couple of different ways to get started. And you might be asking yourself, why in the world would I even want to do
Yeah, let's dive into some
fasting?
of the basic benefits of it.
Yeah. So the obvious benefits are your body's going to be able to rest. So if you're constantly eating food, your body is constantly digesting food. And it never really has a time to repair itself and do some of the internal work that needs to be done inside your body because it's always doing a different job, right? So when you give your body a rest time from eating, it can fully digest that food, and then it can start some reparative benefits, totally kind of cleaning out your system. Less oxidative stress on your body, better blood sugar regulation. So just as far as health goes and just for a body upkeep or tune-up, that's a really great benefit.
Yeah, and you spend most of the time fasting asleep. So, and that's when your body is naturally disposed
when you're doing
to take
short
care of itself.
Intermittent fastings, But if you eat a snack and then go to bed, most of that time, your body's digesting food when it should be kind of repairing itself during your sleep.
So repairing yourself, you're talking muscles and ailments and stuff like that?
Well, everybody, we're all different. So it just depends on what's going on in your body. But yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But obviously, the main reason people do intermittent fasting is, of course, for weight loss.
Right. At least that's what's going on now is people are seeing the benefits of taking the time off. Again, allowing your body to process the food. And it goes contrary to kind of the old trend, which was many meals spread over.
Have breakfast, have a little snack, have lunch, have a little snack, have dinner, have a little snack. And none of it should be fat and none of it should be high caloric foods. And it's all of these high calorie foods and everyone is starving and they're working out and they're gaining weight and they can't figure out why.
Right. So that's the old trend. By old trend, we're talking it's
still
a train of thought. There's still we're talking about two different camps of thought on the body, but I think scientifically and doctor wise, we're things are starting to trend over towards the
There's
intermittent
definitely
fasting.
starting to trend to people realizing that's not how it has to be done. But I still hear people say all the time, like, oh, I'm trying to lose weight and I didn't even eat breakfast today. I need to eat a small meal. Like, I need to get my metabolism going. And it's like, oh, honey, your metabolism's going. You're fine. If you're not hungry, you probably shouldn't eat. Obviously, we're not doctors or medical professionals, hairstylists, pastor. So, take this with a grain of salt, but we've done some research and this has worked very well for us.
Right.
So maybe it would work well for you if you feel more comfortable talking to your doctor about it ahead of time. I highly recommend that.
Yeah, and do some research on your own, and then go have the conversation with the doctor. Because
Right.
even then, sometimes that's not their field of strength, either. So
Yeah,
it's
I
it's
find
worth
that
it.
there's a lot of doctors that really are specializing in this kind of keto
Okay.
lifestyle. So your doctor may not be on board with it. So you may need to maybe not do this way of life or maybe find a different doctor. I mean, you have to kind of decide what works best for you.
Yeah, as with everyone, exactly. You got to find what works for your body type. We're finding, or you have found, that intermittent fasting works for you. I'm
Yeah.
finding that it's working better for me. Little side note, 2 weeks into this, I went out for a jog the other day and ran my fastest time since I started running.
Wow.
So
Now, were you fasted or was that during your eating window? Just curious.
it was during the window.
Okay.
So I wasn't in a fasted state when I did that, just because time. But
Because you tend to run more in the evening,
right, I tend to run
do weight training while you're fasted.
correct. I do the weight training in the morning while I'm fasted, which I've heard there's a lot of benefits to that.
Hmm.
And then the running in the evening, usually it's the capper of the day when everything's said and done. And so I have no idea if it correlates, but hey, why not just put it in the hat as you run faster. This is not an expert. You run faster when you're fasting.
That's Sam's opinion.
Faster fasting. That's
There
what
you
I'm going
go.
to start trademarking that running thing.
Yeah, so a lot of people don't like to go to the gym in a fasted state. They want to, at the very least, have a pre-workout, have a small breakfast because they feel like they're going to have more energy at the gym. And the truth of the matter is that's true. You will have more energy at
Yep.
the gym if you have, you just put fresh energy in your body. But if you're working on depleting your own personal fat storage, you're going to get a really good solid workout. So it just depends. Do you want to lift that extra weight? Do you want to do those extra reps or do you want to push your body to the max?
So ultimately, you're saying if we go in, haven't eaten a bar, like we're just like a protein bar for
Yeah,
lack
like
of
a
better.
pre-workout.
So pre-workout bar, you go and eat that. Your body, in essence, when you're working out, is feasting on that.
It will probably perform better.
Correct. But it's feast. That's what it's.
Yes,
That's what it's
that's
using
where it's
for
getting their
energy.
energy from. So you're giving your body that energy.
But if you don't eat that bar and you go in on a fasted state, like we're running 12, 13 hours, we're fasting, instead of that bar, your body's looking for something else to grab energy from, and that's going to
It's going to
be.
come from your fat storage.
So now you have to weigh out. Do I want to? It's a. So is it like more weight loss? I mean, I
So
don't know
if
what
you're
the.
going to maybe run a marathon, a 5K, something like that, it may behoove you to intake some food ahead of time and give your body some energy so you can get a better time.
Mhm.
But if you're not concerned about your time or your weight or anything like that, I mean your weight that you're lifting, not your body weight, it would probably do you better if you're trying to lose weight to go in a fasted state. If you can, if your blood sugar allows those things, and
Right.
if you're a normal, healthy adult, you should be able to. If you're not able to, something is probably wrong. That's probably a red flag.
So it's not to say you can't lift the heavier weights and stuff like that, and build muscle through this process.
No, you can really build muscle through this
Right. It's
process.
just a different way your body's going to go
Your
about
body's getting
accomplishing
energy
it.
in a different way.
So basically, you're looking for more. You're probably more lean mass, because if you're consuming the fat and building muscle at the same time, as opposed to just feeding the muscle, like is that the right picture?
You kind of lost me there, to tell you the truth. But basically, your body needs energy to expel energy. So, do you want to get that energy from food that you just put in your body or from food that's stored in your body that you're trying to get rid of? So, if you're someone who's trying to gain weight, which plenty of people go to the gym and they're trying to gain weight. I actually work with a girl, drives me insane. She's trying to gain weight.
Everyone loves that person.
I know.
Oh, it's so hard for me to gain weight.
No, she's an extremely healthy person trying to put on weight in a very healthy way. So props to her. But yeah, she may need to eat a little something because she doesn't want to completely deplete her stored body fat. She doesn't have enough to spare.
Right.
That's not the case for most of us. Most of us have enough body fat to spare for a workout or two. It's not going to
Especially
really be
if
a
you're in your
problem.
late 30s, 40s,
Right.
50s, and that phase of life, you're
Yeah. And
got
of
some
course,
catching up to
water,
do.
water, water. You want to definitely be drinking water before, after, during. Putting a little salt in your water is recommended. I never have tried that. To me, that sounds disgusting, but
That does
it's
sound really
constantly
it.
recommended that if you feel like lightheaded or fatigued, if you add a little bit of water, that'll give you enough magnesium to give you a little bit of a jump
You
start.
mean add a little bit of salt to your water?
What did I say?
You said water. Add a little bit of water.
Add a little water to your water.
It's always good.
Why
More
are you
water.
correcting me? Water's
Water.
great for life.
Water. So if you're thirsty, take a dip in the ocean, drink that water. You'll be good to
This
go.
is exactly what I said, verbatim. Yes.
That's what I'm getting out of it.
Okay,
That
so
sounds
let's talk
so
about,
nasty, putting salt in your water.
I mean, just a little bit,
I understand.
especially
I
on the
guess it's just,
longer fasts.
right.
Sometimes you need a little bit.
So let's park it there a little bit. Like some of the things that we do add to our drinks or the beverages. I think a lot of people, like I thought at the time, well, I'm not eating, so I'm still fasting. Like,
Right.
so I'm drinking the sports drink. It's got to be good for me, so I'm still fasting.
Right. So we found, and he was drinking a really nice, high quality sports drink. I had bought it for him. I only drink plain water, so I guess I didn't really read the label as well as maybe I could have, but it was a company that we order from frequently. We love it. We trust it. But we found out he was getting 5 grams of carbs for every scoop that he was putting in his water. And you're probably putting, what, two
In
scoops?
that jar, I was putting 2 scoops in,
So
and 90% of the
10
time I'd finish that
10
bottle.
grams of carbs during his workout. Now, that's okay if that's what you're intending to do, right? If you're trying to get that extra energy, maybe if you're going for a run or something like that. Or if you're not doing keto, maybe carbs aren't a concern to you. But we were trying to live a very low carb lifestyle. And all of a sudden,
You were sabotaging,
I was
saboteur.
sabotaging him. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't putting it in his water. He was putting it in himself.
But
But
you know I don't read the labels.
he doesn't read labels. He doesn't even know that food has labels.
Well, that's all the pretty colored things that tell me it's going to taste yummy.
So yeah, that probably a really good high quality product that isn't working for our lifestyle. So we nixed it.
Yeah, that was a sad time when I realized all the things, like what happens when your body, certain things hit your body. Boom, that's the fasting state's over. Once
Right.
you start, what is it, insulin plays a role in this. Once you start firing up the insulin and all these things, like your body starts firing up. Like there's people like, oh, I have my coffee and I have, the sweetener and the cream in it. No,
That
bam,
breaks your fast.
that breaks your fast. Even us, we have a very low. What do we use for our
We
sweetener?
use a sugar-free sweetener,
Right,
and it has some natural sweeteners in it, but not all of them are fasting approved
right.
sweeteners.
So
So
as soon as we
even
have a
though
sip of
it's
coffee,
probably fine, it's sweet enough that it might spike an insulin response, and if that happens, your body's no longer in a fasted state, even if you're not giving it any calories. This is a totally calorie-free substance we're putting in our coffee, but it could cause an insulin spike, and if it does, the fasting state is over.
because your
So
body's transition now and how it's operating, like
right.
something else is
So
taking
Sam
place.
likes to fast, like he likes to eat a little bit later in the night and then fast through the morning hours and drink his coffee black. I'm totally opposite. I would, like, last night I decided I was going to do a 16-hour fast between last night and this morning.
News to me.
So I stopped eating at 4:30 and then I had my coffee at 8:30 in the morning. So that was a 16-hour fast. I was able to have my cream and my coffee. I had a really great workout at the gym. And for me, I prefer that. I would much rather skip dinner than skip breakfast. But you're a total opposite. You'd rather skip breakfast
Yeah,
than
I'd
dinner.
skip breakfast
So there's
easy.
no right or wrong way. You just have to decide what works for you. And since I worked till 9 on Thursdays, I wasn't home with my family. Dinner wasn't a big deal for me to skip. Nobody even noticed that I skipped dinner. I'm not going to sit at
Right.
the dinner table with my kids and not eat dinner. It's just weird. So I would do that on a night that I'm not eating dinner with my family anyway.
That's good.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were planning on doing that.
I wasn't really planning on it.
just
It
kinda
just sort
happened.
of worked out that way. And I was like, well, this will be perfect because I've been trying to at least one day a week do 16
Okay.
hours. So let's dive into that. And then we'll talk into what you can and can't have
Okay.
while you're fasting. Okay. How to get started with intermittent fasting.
Don't eat.
It is that simple, but we'll talk a little bit more about it.
Oh, there's more to it?
Okay.
So this is going to be a longer podcast, I guess.
Typically, if you look up intermittent fasting, the general rule of thumb is a 16-8. So 16 hours you're not eating, 8 hours you are eating. I think that's a really lofty goal to start with, and I think that is a little too much for every day personally. Now
That's
there are
unrealistic for a
keto
lot of people,
police who
right?
will lose their minds when I say this, but I think it's unrealistic to do every day, maybe even unhealthy. Um, and definitely not for women. Women and men fast very differently, and our bodies, women's bodies, are much more sensitive to fasting, and you need to give your body a little bit more food when you're a woman than when you're a man.
So you're saying there's a difference between men and women?
It is shocking information. You
All
heard it
right.
here.
All right. There we go.
Again,
Science.
just my opinion. So anyway, my suggestion is start with 12 hours. And I think 12 hours every single day, 7 days a week is a very attainable, achievable, easy goal. Basically, what you're doing is you're not having a nighttime snack or you're not having breakfast, one or the other. If you
Right.
finish dinner at 7 p.m. and you have breakfast at 7 a.m., that's really realistic. I mean,
That's kind of how we
anybody
started.
can do
We
that.
started out. Now, isn't there also something to the fact like so many hours before you go to sleep, you want to be
Well, there
done
used
eating?
to be, almost with any diet, I would think, they say stop eating 3 hours before you go to bed. And
Okay.
that's for the same idea. So your body can start its digestive process. So when you're sleeping, your body can do the work it needs to do and not be digesting food.
Right.
So that's kind of always been around. I think from what I've
Yeah,
heard,
that
that's a
sounds
pretty
about right.
common thing. Whether you're intermittent fasting or not, they like you to stop eating 3 hours before bed. So again, I would prefer to make that window earlier because I like to eat early in the morning. That's just how I get home from the gym. I'm ready to eat. So whatever works for you. But I would definitely start with 12 hours. And I think that's great for every single
That's
day, seven
definitely
days a
more
week.
feasible because when you think about like a 16-hour window, nothing, 8 hours, like people work 9 to 5, people work 10,
Hmm.
12 hour shifts. Like, how do you not, you can't prepare breakfast in the morning and dinner at your job? You know what I mean? You're
Well,
limited
you
on some
have
of
to
those
work that
options.
out.
Yeah.
We can do an episode on how to work that out. There's lots of great tips and tricks. But yeah, that's the general rule of
I
thumb.
think it,
I
it
would
probably involves cargo pants and almonds.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Anyway, I would say the 16-8 would be more a couple times a week. Maybe for a woman, 2 times a week, and for a man, 3 times a week. I think that would be pretty feasible. Not in the beginning. In the beginning, you want to start with 12 hours every day. You want to make that a habit. That's like your regular life. That's how you do life. Now, there are times where there's a birthday party, there's a special event, there's your company Christmas
Right.
dinner, and they're not serving dinner till 8 o'clock. My personal view is go and enjoy it and have a great night and eat what they serve you and just enjoy it.
Right. One
It's
night of
but
not
that can't you can't have a special occasion every week. If you're having a special occasion every week, then you need to start saying, okay, we're going to adjust our life a little bit.
yay, our cat used the litter box.
Right.
Celebrate.
You can't have, ice cream every time your kid comes home with a good report card. Maybe the kid can, things like that. So you know what I mean. If there's a special occasion and it doesn't
Hmm.
happen often, I say go and enjoy yourself as long as it's not going to give you an upset stomach. Keep that
Right.
in mind too. After you've done a dietary change, you might not be able to have dessert after having a
Your
big,
body's got a new clock
yeah,
going
you're
and
going
all
to be
that.
stuffed.
Hmm.
But anyway, yes, I would say generally 12 hours of not eating is an excellent way to get started. And
And
that
it's
should be the
easy
majority of your
math too.
time.
It's easy math.
Easy
I
math.
stop at 7, start at 7, 7:30,
Right.
7:30, so on and so forth.
And if you stop at 7 and at 7 a.m. you're not hungry, don't feel like you have to eat just because you can, just because your 12 hours are
Right.
up. Just
Ding ding
if
ding.
it's a convenient time for you to eat, then go ahead. Or if you're like, I have to eat at 6 because I have to be at work. Okay, well, then eat at 6.
Hmm.
Give yourself a little bit of flexibility. But the goal, I would say, would be 12 hours to start. And then maybe once or twice a week, try and up it to 13, 14 until you can get to 16 hours. Like I said, a couple days a week.
Yeah, I know the other week or early in the whole thing, I accidentally did 16 hours because I just ate.
Because he doesn't really eat during the
I had
day.
to
He's a
eat
nighttime
an
eater.
earlier dinner, and then I just got things, and that just happened. I got done. I guess it was a softball game or something. So I just realized I got down to the end of it, and it's the same thing. Next day, I'm like, huh, I've been going now for 15 hours. I'm
Yeah.
not that hungry. Let me see if I can pull another hour
Yeah.
out of this thing. And it became almost like a game, like a challenge. Like
Yeah.
in the early process, it is. It's kind of like you against your body, trying to the
Hmm.
challenge of wills and discipline. We talk about discipline is a big thing.
Right.
Like for us, like everyone asks, what diet are you? What? And for us, mostly it's just we're disciplined. We're trying to discipline
Yeah.
ourselves. And that's what it is. It's a challenge of wills. Like it's you against you. Who's gonna win? So you kind of got to take that on. And that's ultimately what it was. I was like, I can get another hour out of this.
Yeah. And you'll see some great benefits. Your clothes will start to fit better, whether you lose weight or not.
Mm-hmm.
Your skin will look clearer, brighter. You just overall look better. You have a lot more mental clarity when you're not constantly digesting food. So you should just be, a little
You'll be
sharper, a little bit more
smarter.
on your toes. Well, just more aware, not so groggy. You know how after lunch sometimes you just have that like, oh, I just had lunch and I'm so groggy. That should clear up.
Very interesting. So now we can start playing Words with Friends a little bit later into the
Yeah.
night. So instead of eating, you start
Yeah.
competing.
So yeah, I would say that's how to start. Of course, there are really long extended fasts, 24-hour fasts, things like that. I don't enjoy fasting that way. It really gives me some anxiety when I even think about it.
Yes,
But
it does.
it really, yeah. But there are some really great ways to do it. Like, so you can still eat every day if you're doing a 24-hour fast. Like we're going to do one with our church, and it's going from 7:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m.
Yep.
So both days you can still eat, just not within that 124-hour window. So that's kind of a way to make it so that you are going 24 hours, but you're not going one whole day on either side
Right.
without eating.
Exactly.
Sometimes that mentally makes people feel a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some really great benefits to extended fasting, 24 hours all the way up to a week, which I've never done. I
What?
have no expertise on. I don't think I will do one of those. But there is something called autophagy. And this is something where it kills off your
Great
old
job on pronouncing that. You did well.
things. I don't know if I did it right. I wrote it out phonetically. Autophagy. I
Yeah,
think
you
that's
did
how
it.
you say
Yeah,
it.
you did well. Good job.
But basically, what happens is your body will kill off the old cells and create new, youthful, brand new cells. So, this is really the fountain of youth. If you can get your body to get to a state of autophagy.
You got like some autophagy ninjas going on in
Yeah.
the body.
Well, here's the really cool thing. If you're not keto adapted, if you're eating the regular standard American diet or not a low carb diet, basically,
gotcha.
your body will take 48 to 72 hours to reach that state where it's killing off your old cells and bringing in new, fresh, young cells. But if you're already keto adapted, your body's already getting its energy from fat, not from carbs. It will happen much quicker, maybe even while you're intermittent fasting, depending on
What?
how adapted you are. So living a low carb lifestyle will definitely benefit you more while you're intermittent fasting than if you're not. But everyone will benefit from intermittent fasting. Automatically, you'll eat less calories. That's just,
Right.
that's just how it is. If you're eating in a shorter amount window, you're definitely going to eat some less calories. And you're probably going to be more concerned about what you are eating, especially if you're doing a 16-hour.
Right. You want it to last.
You want to have a meal. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're not just like snacking on chips. And even if you are, there's only so much time to do that. So everyone will benefit. But if you're trying to get to some like really serious health benefits, if you're low carb, you'll benefit much quicker, much, much better.
Now, we had referenced this back in another episode, and we'd heard it a few times through some other podcasts, the rat experiment,
Yes.
the rat food experiment. So we'll dive into that a little bit. So they have two groups of rats.
Right.
And each group of rats are getting the same amount of food over a 24, well, they're getting the same amount of food.
Right.
One group has access to that food
24 hours
24
solid.
hours. The other group has access to that food for 8 hours.
Right.
And they found out through the study, however long it was. Again, we're just kind of second party here, but it is a legit thing. We did research on it. The rats who only had access to the food for 8 hours, again, the same quantity of food,
Right.
ended
The
up being
exact same food.
healthier, smarter through
They
testing,
were lean
leaner.
and muscular.
Yeah, they were much better off.
And the other group who just grazed for 24 hours, again, on the exact same amount of calories, they were fat rats.
Fat rats. They were
Yeah.
lazy fat rats.
Their body isn't able to do a lot of the things that the other rats, their body had access to repairing its body, to building muscle, to doing things other than digest food all day long.
Right. So basically, if you're, and conceptually, is your body can only multitask so much.
Right.
And that's kind of, I think, what we have to look at it as.
Yeah, our
So,
body's an amazing machine, but again, it can only do so much at one time.
right. And if you overload it on one end, it
Yeah.
has to, neglect something else.
And a lot of the food that we're eating is not really food. It's been so chemically altered that our body doesn't even know what to do with it.
I was thinking about that when you said like the American diet and then how long it takes to digest some of those things. Have you seen those tests online and stuff where they just sit out like a McDonald's hamburger or something
Oh,
like
and they
that?
don't get,
They
yeah, if
don't
your
touch it, doesn't get
food
moldy, it just sits out for a long
doesn't get
time.
mold on it eventually, that's not a good sign.
And that kind of stuff people are putting in their body, and they're trying
Yeah,
to figure out how long it takes to process these things. And if it takes that long out, and your body's trying to
right.
figure out how to
Your body
digest it.
doesn't know what to do with it.
Ugh.
If you want a real eye opener, Google what fruit should actually look like.
Oh yeah.
It's amazing how far we've come by genetically modifying, and now you can't even get a watermelon seed that would resemble what the original watermelon looked like. It's really, it's
We're
kind of
definitely going to
scary. It's
dive into
pretty
this one a little bit
scary.
because I remember Joyce, she said, well, we just need a little more time, a little more research to kind of come up with a picture
Yeah, I want to
about
make
what
sure we're giving correct
it was
information.
supposed to look like in the past
But
and
it
all
was
that.
really, I mean, I knew I didn't want to eat fruit because it was so far gone from what it should be. Just, I guess I didn't always know that, but I've recently come to learn that. And just looking at what it should look like, it really was shocking how
Yeah.
different it is.
Huh.
So
Is
we
there one
think
example
we're
that really
being,
jumps out to you?
well, like a watermelon. Right now, you open a watermelon and it's bright and red and seedless, and you can just eat right out of the thing
Mm-hmm.
because there's nothing in your way to stop you. But if you were to open a watermelon decades ago, it's basically
Seeds
all
all over the
seeds and
place.
just little chunks of red here and there that you've got to kind of scavenge. So you could probably eat a whole watermelon then, and it would be very nutritious, full of vitamins, and it would be not so much quantity as it is now, where
Right.
ours is basically all
You're just trying to
fillers.
get all red, right?
Yeah, there's no nutrition
Huh.
left. There's a lot of sugar in there, and there's no seed. So shoot, fruit should be able to replicate itself. So if you're eating a fruit that cannot replicate itself, meaning there is no seeds in it, that's a really bad sign.
Wow. Yeah. Uh, it's, I'm curious now. Like I can imagine, I can see how someone would be eating that. Like, man, this thing would be incredible if we could just get rid of all these seeds.
And I am so guilty. If I'm at the grocery store and there's seedless and there's seeded watermelon, I'm going for the seedless. That's just, it's so much easier. And I like to
Yeah.
have it like pre-cut up in the fridge. And that's definitely one of the fruits that I enjoy. But it's just a little bit eye-opening. So not to say I'll never eat watermelon. Of course I'm going to eat watermelon.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be much more aware of what I'm putting in my body and maybe not eat half a
You'll
watermelon.
be less happy with when you eat it. That's what you're
Right.
saying. I'm still going to eat it, but I'm not going to be as happy
Well,
when
I'm
I
not
eat
going
it.
to eat it as often and in as much quantity because now
yeah.
I realize it's basically candy.
I like candy.
Yeah.
Is it keto candy?
It is not keto candy.
It's not keto candy.
Definitely not. But it's still better than having candy. I mean,
Right.
I'm not saying fruit is the devil. I'm just saying we're getting close.
It's amazing though, like going through like this whole keto thing, and we're starting to discover some of the fruits that aren't quote unquote keto approved because of sugars or what they're containing and all that. When it used like as little as a year ago, I was pounding fruits
And
as my
again,
substitute for
I
things.
would be willing to overlook that because I would be more concerned about the nutritional quality than the carb quantity in most cases.
Mm-hmm.
But if the nutritional quality isn't there either, then why
Right,
are we
what's the
touting
purpose?
this as like a healthy food?
Right.
Anyway, I
'Cause
digress.
it's on the pyramid.
Why do we always get on fruit? We need to get off of fruit. We're talking about fasting today, folks, not fruit. Okay, so let's talk about what you can eat while you're fasting and what you cannot eat while you're fasting.
Okay. Food.
Right, so there's no food. That's basically the truth of the matter. While you're in a fasted state, no food. There are some beverages you can have, but nothing that has any calories in it or anything that will cause an insulin response within your body.
So this is something that you did some research on to kind of help me out because I went from having this wonderful sports drink, which I definitely liked and
Yeah.
was accustomed to having in the gym.
And it wasn't bad. I'm not trying to say it was
Correct,
bad. It just was
correct.
bad for the lifestyle you're leading right now.
Right. So yeah, in general, it was a good thing. It just didn't fit the parameters of what we were looking to do as far as the fasting is
Right.
concerned. So you, being the loving, generous, kind wife and fun person that you
Here
are,
we go.
said, I'm going to find something so that you're not complaining all the time. Because I'm
Right.
not a
He doesn't
water
want
drinker.
just water in
Right.
his
I like
thermos.
I like to have a little bit of flavor in it. Now I'm adjusting. I'm getting through it, and it's fine. For
He's a
some
big
reason,
boy.
straws help. I don't know. If I have a straw in a glass of water, it makes it so much easier. Maybe it's a tinge of plastic that helps add flavor to it. I have no idea. But if I have a straw, I'll be able to drink it a lot better. But
Okay.
so I went even down the road. Can I put lemon in my water while I'm
Yeah.
fasting? Yes or no?
Okay, that's where a gray area would come into play.
Right.
So there's a very few foods that are considered a gray area.
And
So
just to back up, like when we talk about gray areas, when we try to do things, we try to avoid gray areas. Like that's when we start
in general,
in general, we try to avoid the gray areas because we want to, if we're going to do it, we want to go for it.
anything worth doing is worth doing your best.
Over time, we might start to fall into the gray areas once we become accustomed to all stuff. But like me,
Or
like if I'm
for
going
a
to jump
day, for
in,
an occasion, you know what I
correct,
mean?
correct.
But on the regular, you want to try and,
Right. Like I want to go, if I'm going to do this thing, let's do it the right way.
yeah,
But that's just our mentality. That's kind of where we're at on
right.
that.
So as far as gray areas, there's really only two worth mentioning. A lot of people like to put lemon in their water from an actual lemon
Hmm.
or apple cider vinegar.
Oh,
Those tend to be the
yeah.
ones that people like to add into their water. I've never tried apple cider vinegar in my water. That's something I should probably give a whirl because people really recommend it. And I'm not a huge, I mean, I like lemon water, but it doesn't, I could take it one way or the other with or without the lemon. So I just do without.
Yeah, we talked
So
in previous, you could drink water from anywhere and everywhere.
just plain old water. Yeah. Anyway, both of them do contain a very small amount of calories. So technically, it could break your fast.
That's crazy.
However, they both will give you such benefits that a lot of experts are saying the benefits could outweigh the breaking of the fast for that small amount of calorie, so it's worth it.
So
And
like
then
one step backwards, three steps forward kind of
exactly,
deal.
it's a step backward to go forward. But then there's other like hardcore people with fasting who would say no, if there's a calorie in it, that's an absolute no. So you need to make that decision for yourself. If you want to add apple cider vinegar or you want to add lemon, just know you are taking a small step back, but it might bring you a little bit more forward.
Have you
You're gonna have to do
smelled
your own research on
apple
that.
cider vinegar?
I think we don't have a good quality. That's something we need to
Right.
investigate
I did.
because
I remember a while back because it's good for chickens. So harken back to our backyard
oh,
chicken episode. So we've had some. I've had some around that I add to the chickens' water. 'Cause it's supposed to be
do
good
they
for
like
them to
it?
help their immune system. They're drinking the water anyways. I
Okay.
don't think they're like, ooh, it's got apple cider. But I'm putting a little bit in for a
You're diluting
large
it, right?
quantity, so they're not really getting a hard. It's just something to get in their system. It helps
Yeah.
with the water too, like for like mold, any parasites that might try to go in there. So that's my reference. And then someone had mentioned about the same thing when we were
Putting
talking
it in
about
your
this,
water.
putting it
Somebody
in their
put a
water.
message
I was
on
like,
Facebook
it was
to
like
you.
it was Sherry. I think I was like,
Yeah.
what? And like it blew my mind.
No, it's a really popular thing. It's just something I'm extremely uneducated in, the apple cider vinegar.
Right.
So I need to check that out and see what that's all about.
And if I know you, you'll have it all
I
figured
will.
out by this afternoon.
Maybe. I don't know. It's prom day at work, so we're going to be busy. Okay. So those are your gray areas. Here's what you can have while you are fasting. This might be shocking, but you can have water.
What?
That's what I highly recommend.
With a little bit of water added to it. Don't forget that.
You can add your water to your water.
Add water to water.
Green tea, black tea, basically any tea that is totally calorie free.
Hmm.
Steer clear of herbal teas if they have fruit in them, and that fruit is really sneaky. They can get it right in that little tea bag, and just totally avoid
They're
herbal
not putting a
tea
giant apple in the middle of that bag so it
because
won't fit in there.
even sugars sneak into herbal teas. They tend to be very delicious, so be cautious of that delicious
Morals,
tea.
if it tastes good,
Just double
it's
check that
breaking your
label.
fast.
Yeah. So you want to stick to black tea, green tea, white tea, things like that.
And black coffee, right?
Black coffee, yes. As a matter of fact, black coffee and green tea and black tea can kind of accelerate some of the benefits
Okay.
because of the caffeine in it. But you don't want to overdo the caffeine either. So you don't want to pound black coffee for 24 hours straight or 16
Right.
hours straight. If you have to, because that's the kind of person you are, switch to decaf halfway through or maybe every other cup because that is too much caffeine.
Yeah.
I did recently learn when you wake up in the morning, your cortisol levels are high enough that you do not need coffee and it won't have any effect on you for at least an hour. So, in other words, when you wake up in the morning, wait at least an hour before you have your coffee if you want that caffeine to have a
Oh
positive effect on
my
you.
goodness.
That's what you do anyway because you get up and go to the gym. So, you're not having your caffeine right away.
That's true, but I think we just lost like half our listeners. Like all
Well,
two of them just dropped
you don't
out.
have to do what I say. I'm just telling you the truth.
So the coffee has no effect till you're basically your body's waked
Your
up and
body's waking up on its own for the first hour. If you give it caffeine, it's not really doing a whole lot as far as benefits for you. But if you wait an hour and those cortisol levels start to drop off, and then you pop some caffeine in your system, it's
hey
going to
now,
wake you up.
huh?
And that's what we do. We
Oh,
get
that's what
up,
we
we
do.
go to the gym. We don't have coffee for a good 90 minutes to 2 hours after we wake up.
Right? Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, we're there.
Yeah.
Just because I don't want coffee before I go to the gym, like that's just
Oh,
not.
yeah.
Yeah,
My stomach would not do
not.
well.
Yeah, I'm not ready for anything.
Yeah. Okay. So, stevia is the only sweetener that you can have while fasting and it won't break your fast. Now, stevia is delicious and it will make anything delicious. So, if you're doing this for
That's
like
strong.
religious reasons or something along those lines, that might be a gray area because if
Right.
you're trying to do it to kind of deprive yourself for a particular reason,
Mm-hmm.
to withstand, maybe that's not the best one to do. But if you're doing it for health benefits strictly, it's a good to go.
Oh,
Yeah. And there is a
2 thumbs
soda.
up.
There's a soda called Zevia, just like stevia, but with a Z, which we've recently discovered. And I really like it.
It's your new best friend.
I really, really like it.
Yeah,
And
you do.
I don't tend to drink a lot of drinks that
Uh-uh.
aren't water. Even if I really like them, I'm
You
just
don't
a water
gravitate to them.
drinker.
Yeah.
But Zevia, I really like it. It's delicious. The cream soda one is my favorite. It's basically carbonated water that's flavored with stevia. So totally safe to drink. It's not gonna,
They have
change
a
your insulin
ton of
levels.
different flavors. They're like
Tons.
mocking
Some
all the flavors that you like, not
right, like
mocking, but replicating
right, like they have
what you
their
have.
Mountain Dew flavor. That's obviously not called Mountain Dew. They
Right.
have their
Root
Coca-Cola
beer,
flavor,
Coke, yeah.
things like that. Um, some are caffeinated, some are not. So keep that in mind. All of them are clear, which I
Yeah.
love. I love that they're not brown like traditional soda because we just got our teeth whitened and I don't want to get them unwhite again. So sometimes, like on Saturdays, I would typically drink coffee at work. No more. I'm bringing a caffeinated Zevia because it's clear and then I don't have to worry about when can I brush my teeth. It's totally fine.
It's amazing how that process just
Yeah,
changes
now
everything.
I can't have coffee unless I know I can brush my teeth immediately
It is
after.
funny to see you with a can because you never used to
Never.
gravitate
I'm
towards
not
that.
a
So
soda drinker.
haven't you? You have it there.
Even sparkling water, like I like it and I'll go in phases while I have it here and there.
Right.
But the Zevia, I really like
I
that.
gotcha. So we'll put
Yeah.
we'll obviously put that in the link in the
And
descriptions.
they
But
have like grape soda and orange, like all the fun flavors you had when you were a kid.
just
I
like
think it's
anything
maybe nostalgic.
else, because it's not bad for you, it does cost. So there is a cost to this thing far beyond what you
Everything
would pay
is
for.
so expensive when you're
Yeah.
eating well. So yeah, it is pricey.
So it's like a
The
treat.
Zevia, you're right. Yeah.
And buy it in bulk.
I was able to get it in bulk on a lightning deal on Amazon. So I
Yeah.
spent $25 for 24 cans. So
That's
slightly over
crazy,
$1 for
right?
each. Which for Zevia is really well priced. So keep your eyes open for lightning deals. And then it's shipped right to your house. All those cans you don't have to lug from the grocery store, which was nice. And they gave us two of each flavor, so we got to kind of try them all out. So I
Right,
think
that's
that's
a
why I
nice
was
little
drinking
assortment.
so many because I wanted to try them all.
Experimenting, tasting
Cream
it.
soda was the best so far. I'll keep you posted if one is better. But yeah, the cream soda was on the money.
Okay, so stevia is
Okay.
good for
Yes,
fast.
I'm sorry. I digress. I got all caught up in
I
my
know.
new favorite
But
thing.
just a little side note on that, like, because we're about to go into like a spiritual fast, like we're doing it as a church body going into it, where we are abstaining from lots of things that it's not
for
it has
24 hours.
for 24 hours. It has nothing to do with health per se. This one is about a spiritual, emotional, mental meditation kind of thing to kind of reconnect ourselves with God and going down that road. So when we say like for spiritual reasons or something like that, we're going down that road
Right.
about
It's
things to
not that the
abstain
Zevia
from.
is going to break my fast, but that's not the point of this fast.
Of
This
this
point
fast,
is
right.
more of a abstaining.
So there's a difference between a health fast and a spiritual fast. There's a different mentality going into it, and
And a lot of spiritual fasts, they will say have broth, have broth during the day. Because some people, if they're not keto adapted, 24 hours is really difficult. But if
Correct.
they have broth all day long, they're getting all the benefits of the kind of deprivement,
Right.
but they're not going to pass out. You know what I mean? So
Correct.
you have to decide what your fast is for and then how you want to approach it. A lot of people, even for health benefits, will have bone broth during their fast. And that's what I did last year because I thought that was legal. This year I know better, so I'm not going to do
We're
it.
really stretching it and pushing ourselves. The whole
Yeah,
idea of a spiritual fast is to kind of to go without, so
right.
that your focus in those moments of like the hunger pains, or the feeling like you feel a little deprived. You
Right.
sometimes you do feel a little weak.
It should be a sacrifice
Right, and that's the
when
whole
you're doing it
idea.
for these particular
And
reasons.
that's where it's at. So the spiritual element, the spiritual fast, is a little bit different
Right. So if
than the
I
health
was
fast.
drinking Zevias all day long on our fast day, I don't know how deprived I would feel.
Correct.
So that's probably not going to fly.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Then last one I'm going to give you with a caveat. What you can have while you are doing a fast that won't break your fast is diet soda. It will not cause an insulin
Like a
spike.
Diet Coke, like
Like
a
a
Diet
Diet
Pepsi, like
Coke.
that.
Yes,
Huh.
it's totally fine as far as keeping you in a fasted state. However, it contains
Maybe a hashtag
what is
or
it? Aspartame?
aspartame. Yep.
And that stuff is terrible. Yes, it will keep you in a fasted state. Yes, it won't cause an insulin spike. Yes, it's calorie free.
But you're gonna have cancer in 10 years.
It really is a terrible, terrible ingredient. Now, I've enjoyed a Diet Coke here and there in my life
Yeah.
and probably will again. Occasionally, it's a very nice treat. We had an event at the salon the other day, and the only thing that was calorie free was a Diet Coke. And I was like, man, I didn't know how good this was.
What is this sweet nectar?
So I did enjoy a Diet Coke. But that cannot be, I mean, I can't speak for you, but that should not be part of your diet, I
Right.
would think. I mean, that's not a good thing. But if you're in a very tough situation and that tends to be your only option, it's not going to throw you out of your fasting state.
Huh.
But
That
I
wouldn't.
don't recommend it at all. Whether you're fasting, whether you're not fasting, whether you're doing keto, all American diet, like they really should. Whoop, sorry, that's how mad I am. I just threw my microphone. No, they should be illegal. Really, they should really, really be illegal. Says a
Wow.
girl who just drank one within the last week.
Well, on a black market, of course. Like,
Yeah.
you just get this stuff. Yeah, I know.
I wouldn't have paid for it. It was free.
That's how they get you.
That's how they get
the first
you.
one's free, and then they keep
Yeah.
you coming back. So I've heard.
So yeah, that will not take you out of a fasted state, but I couldn't recommend it any less.
I know a lot of people that are like really addicted to like Coke and Pepsi and
Mm-hmm.
and that kind of stuff. They feel like if they switch over to diet, then they're doing a lot better on that.
Well, they are eliminating sugar and carbs, which I would applaud them for, but they're putting a really dangerous chemical in their body in place of that.
Right.
Honestly, I would rather be a heavy person addicted to sugar and carbs than a thin person who's thriving on chemicals and they're going to pay a really dear price for that.
Wow.
So
Well, we really hit on a touchy subject
It's
here.
just a
I did not
terrible
know that you were
ingredient.
so against that. Having said that,
I think
I know
everybody
aspartame.
really is against aspartame. Even
Correct.
people who are addicted to it know it's a terrible thing.
correct, but I didn't know that you were so emotional and
I'm
passionate
not
about it.
emotional. You're emotional. Anyway, okay. Foods you cannot have on a fast, which you might think obviously foods, but there are some gray areas that people get tripped up about. I already mentioned herbal teas. That can be a really tricky one because you think a tea bag is a tea bag, but no, you always have to read the back label. Always, always, always. Fruits and sugars, even little marshmallows can sneak into those tea bags. I mean, it's the craziest thing. What
I like.
people-
I have this picture of these little marshmallows.
Yes!
Like the bags are just laying out, and they're like,
They're sneaking them in
They're
your tea.
sneaking into the
Yeah,
bags. Like,
even
hey
when
guys,
you
everyone
go
come over
to
here.
these,
No, leave the hot chocolate alone. Let's go into tea. Let's go into
Stop. You go into these beautiful tea shops and everything smells so lovely and they're giving you your loose leaf tea. That's where you really have to be careful
like,
because
sucker.
one, there's not a lot of labels to be read. And two, they're delicious. So you know they are sneaking sugar and marshmallows and fruits into your tea. So just be vigilant if you're a tea drinker.
tea. Marshmallows sneaking into the.
What is wrong with you today?
I have no idea. You just the way you say it, like it's sneaking into the bag. Like
because
they
you
themselves are
think-
sneaking into it.
You think that tea is healthy.
I know, but you're painting this picture like these things are just like hey, everybody, no one's looking. Let's go in right now.
I'm just
As
saying,
opposed to a person or a company
be
putting it
vigilant.
together.
Okay. Next, MCT oil and or MCT powder. You probably already know I love MCT oil. Even though it doesn't have a lot of a nutritional benefit, it really gives you a good, healthy fat. I use it only, well, I shouldn't say only, I use it often in bulletproof coffee. And, I don't drink bulletproof coffee often, but when I do, MCT oil is
Toil.
my fat of choice. And a lot of people think drinking bulletproof coffees all day is okay on a fast, and it's not. If you're doing a bulletproof coffee fast, then sure, but that's not a real fast. That's something you made up.
Just to make themselves feel better.
Right. I mean, you could do whatever kind of fast you want.
The
Like
MCT
people are
oil
doing
is
these
sneaking into your coffee.
Stop it. These hard-boiled egg fasts. Have you seen them?
Uh-uh.
They're like all over Facebook, on my Facebook. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah,
But yeah,
that's
it's like
not anything
just
I'm
drink
following.
hard-boiled or eat hard-boiled eggs all day long, and then that's supposed to be like an egg fast. I don't know what that's all about, but that's a different kind of fast.
What could that possibly do for you?
I guess it's a weight loss. I don't know. There's all
Really?
kinds of fads.
Oh,
It's amazing
man,
what
that
comes
would-
up on your Facebook when Facebook has figured out that you're, into diet or
Like
keto
your
or whatever.
Crazy diet stuff.
Okay.
My goodness.
Coconut oil, same thing. Both MCT oil and coconut oil have calories in them. So they're a no-go, even though they're both wonderful fats. Creamers, obviously. You cannot have creamer in your coffee, whether it's heavy whipping cream all the way down to skim milk. Please, flavored creamers, I hope this goes without saying. None of that goes in your coffee. Black coffee only. Bone broth. I always believed you could have bone broth on a fast, even though it had a low calorie. A lot of people do subscribe to the fact that bone
Right.
broth is okay on a fast. So last year when we did this, I did do bone
The
broth.
spiritual fast, right?
Right. But I'm learning more and more that really anytime you put a calorie in, your fast is broken. Now, you can do a bone broth fast, and I'm sure it would be excellent for you, but that's a different kind of fast. That is not a calorie restricting fast. So
Okay.
that's a no. Branched chain amino acids, any like your vitamins and things like that. You just want to take a look. If there's calories in your vitamins, which many of them have, just skip your vitamins that day or wait until you're in your eating window to put your vitamins
Your
in.
Flintstone Chewies.
Whatever you're having. Erythritol or any other kind of a sugar alcohol will cause an insulin spike. Even though it's calorie free and sugar free, it will make your body, it's very sweet, and your body thinks, oh, time to
Right.
release some insulin, and boom, you're out of a fasted state. So steer clear of sugar alcohols. A lot of people think sugar alcohols are terrible. I like the leeway it gives me. So I'm not totally against sugar alcohols, but not when you're fasting. Do that during your eating window. Exogenous ketones makes you burn fat. So they say it makes you burn the ketones, I think. But regardless, I digress. Don't do exogenous ketones while you're fasting. If you so choose to ingest them, do it during your eating window. Same with CBD oil. So hopefully that clears up some questions you had about fasting. Again, we're not experts. We're just getting started in the world of fasting,
Yep.
but I do a lot of research. I
Yes,
feel
you
like
do.
I am on the computer constantly trying to kind of tweak some things, and everybody's body is very different. Even the two of us, we
Yeah.
fast so vastly differently.
Mm-hmm.
And the things that really stress him don't stress me, and vice versa. So listen to your body, decide what a good fasting window for you would be. And if that doesn't work, adjust it. And it may not be the same as your spouse, or maybe you're doing it with a friend. You may have to say, we're going to do this together, but we're going to have different fasting windows
Right.
because your body is unique to you. So you need to really, take into consideration what's working for you.
Yeah, I think that sounds good. And again, I'm walking down this road. I'm trying to keep updates every so often. I know there's a few people who are listening and walking down the road with me as I try. I put myself at a 30 days, like through the month of May. So when this comes out,
Right.
we're in the middle of it.
So wait a minute, for the 30 days, you're doing a minimum of 12 hours.
Minimum of 12.
And then you're going to try and do 16, like maybe once a week.
Organically, it's just kind of happened out that way. I did it once
Well, let's
last
just do
week,
it then.
and I might be able to pull that off.
Yeah,
do
just
that for
once a
sure.
week, just
Yeah.
to see the difference.
Just to add that in there.
Yeah.
And what I guess I'm just 2 weeks into it, but what I'm definitely seeing is this might be my life now. Like, so
Yeah.
it might be down the road because, well,
At least for 12 hours.
here's the thing. Like, it takes 21 days to develop a habit, right? And I'm into challenging myself and disciplining myself to, to accept these challenges that ultimately will lead to a healthier lifestyle, which will give me a better life to be able to spend with my family, both of my immediate family, my extended family, my friends' family. Like it will make things better.
Yeah.
I'm trying to compete in different, styles of competitions with the Tough Mudder and Savage races and stuff like that. This can only help that process. And any time I can lose a few ounces here or there to pull myself up and over a wall,
Right.
that helps out. But what I am noticing is I put a 30-day mark on myself, and I think 30 days is a reasonable expectation for anyone to give it a go. Just say, all right, for 30 days, I'm going to go down this road. And at the end of 30 days, you know what? You say,
You can decide to go back to your old lifestyle.
right, exactly. I mean, what do you have to lose except for your own health? So, like, just
I'd
like,
be curious after 30 days how you feel about mental clarity. If you feel like more alert and awake and just focused. Like I feel so much more focused. We used to watch so much TV.
yeah.
And we don't watch a whole lot of TV anymore because I'm so focused on like I want to get this task accomplished. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and like when it's time to go to bed, you're like, let's just
We're
go
so toast at
yeah,
bedtime.
let's just done. We're out of here. Like by the time we get together, like we're like, if we get
Do you
together,
want to watch a show if it's short?
like if it's short, maybe we'll see how it goes. That one, no, not that one, not tonight. I'm out.
Yeah, and we used to watch like 3 or sometimes 4 shows before we went to bed at night.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, it's just not the same. Well, one,
Yeah.
two,
well, we have to get up so much earlier now.
right? We're getting up early for the gym, but man, if I'm gonna fast, it's easier to fast while you're asleep. That's
Well, that's true.
true story. So the quicker you get to sleep, the better you're gonna feel during the fasting process.
Okay, so yeah, that's what we have to say about intermittent fasting. We'd love to know how you feel about it, if you're doing it, if you have any strategies, if you need any help with it. You can always message us and Sam will tell you where, because I don't know.
Yeah, so you can reach us at doinglife@gmail.com, or you can just comment on our Facebook and Instagram pages and we'll get back to you, or DM us. And we like the feedback. We like hearing how people are adjusting. We like hearing tips and tricks that work for you. Again, Joyce is doing all the research. So don't ask me the questions, but I'll make sure she gets them. So reach out, let us know how your life is going. If you're going to give this thing a go and try it out with us, let us know so we can encourage each other and we can walk through this path together.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, say goodbye.
Goodbye.